welcome to Siska Stitches. In today's video, I'm going to be showing us how to make this beautiful dress. So if you're new to this channel, you're welcome. Click the subscribe button and click the bell so you get updates to see beautiful tutorials like this. So for this tutorial, we are just going to be drafting the pattern. In the next video, I'll show us how to sew this up. I'll be using this tropical floral thick chiffon fabric to make this dress. So I have my pattern paper here. I've drawn some lines on it. Right here is this line representing the shoulder. From here to here, I have my armhole round divided by 2. And for me, that is 9 inches. And then I have from shoulder to bust point, from shoulder to under bust. For me, that is 14 inches. And then from shoulder to waist, that is 17 inches. So what I'm going to do right now is to input my neck width and neck depth. So I'll just come right here and first of all mark my shoulder divided by 2. Mine is 16. 16 divided by 2 is 8. So that is 8 right there. Then I'm going to be doing a neck width of 5 inches. And I'm going to be going with a neck depth of 3 inches. So this will go across both front and back. But first we'll be drafting the front pattern. So I'm just going to connect it like this to have the neckline. Now what I'm going to do right now is to come right here. I'm going to mark the shoulder measurement as well on this line, which is 8 inches. And I'm just going to draw a straight line across so we know where the armhole opening will be. So we're sort of like making a corset style batwing dress. What I'm going to do next is to come right here. I'm going to mark my bust circumference. My bust circumference is 38. 38 divided by 4 is 9.5. So I'll come right here at this line, mark 9.5 inches. Okay, we're not going to be drafting any armhole for this tutorial. So after marking my bust circumference divided by 4, what I'm going to do next is to come 1 inch below my bust point line. So the next thing I'm going to do after coming down by 1 inch from the bust point line is to come like this by 1 inch again. Okay, so I'm just going to draw a straight line across. And then what I'm going to do is to come to my under bust. Whatever I marked for my bust, which is 9.5, I'm just going to come right here and mark the same thing, mark 9.5 here. And what I'm going to do is to connect this point here to this point here with a curve. Then I'm going to connect this point to this point here with a straight line. So just like this. So the next thing I'm going to do is to come right here at the under bust. I'm going to mark the under bust circumference divided by 4. My under bust is 34. 34 divided by 4 is 8.5. So I'm just going to come right here, mark 8.5. Then I'll repeat the same thing at my waist because my waist is also 34 inches. 34 divided by 4, that is 8.5. And I'm going to connect this part with a straight line like this. Now, this is how I'm going to explain this pattern. We're going to be cutting the first half of the pattern, cut the neckline, okay? Let me just explain this part. We're going to cut this part all the way to this point here. Now, when we are cutting the part that will have the corset style, which is the part that's going to have the boning, we're just going to cut from here, cut this part and cut here all the way down. This part here is going to be gathered a bit to fit into this part. Okay, so what I'm going to do next is to work on the sleeves since we are sort of like doing a batwing kind of sleeve. Now, right here is where the armhole is. We're going to start our sleeve from there. So I'm first of all going to determine the length of the sleeve that we are going to need. So what I'm going to do is to come right here. If you want it long sleeve, go ahead and measure the length of the sleeve. So for me, I'll be going with 21 inches. So I'm just going to draw a straight line from here up until 21 inches. We are going to be cutting the sleeve together with this. So after drawing this sleeve length up to 21 inches, what we're going to do next is to do the lower part. The first thing that you will need to do is to measure the distance between this armhole line and your bust circumference. Okay, if I should measure this, I'm having 1.5 inches. Now what I'm going to do is to subtract this 1.5 inches from the length of my sleeve, which for me is 21 inches. Okay, And after doing that subtraction, I will have 19.5 inches. Now, this is what we are going to do. We're not just going to draw a straight line across because we want the circumference around the bottom of the sleeve to be very small. We don't want it very wide. I'm going to draw a diagonal line from the bust circumference here, and I'm going to draw it in such a way that when I get to this point, the length is going to be that 19.5 inches, and the width of the sleeve opening here is going to be 4 inches. So length at the bottom from the bust, 19.5 inches. Width of the sleeve at the opening here will be 4 inches. So after drafting, this is what we have. This is what our bodice looks like. Quite funny, right? So this is the sleeve. What I'm going to do next is to sort of like shaping this part so we don't have it sharp here. So just do like a slight curve connecting this part. You can start from your bust point line here, connect it to the sleeve like this. Now, after doing this, all we have to do next is to just cut this out. So after cutting out the front pattern, which is what I have right here, I placed it on another piece of pattern paper. We want to cut out the back. Right here, I have a 1-inch zipper allowance, and what I did was to place the front pattern, the center front, or that zipper allowance line here. That is going to be my center back. We're going to just trace out from the underbust to the waist. Now, the front part will be different from the back because we're not going to be having this, corset style design at the back. No, the back is just going to have this small bit from underbust to waist. So what I've done was to mark that part right here and right here. Then I'll come right here as well and mark it. Then I'm going to trace this part all the way to the underbust here. Now we're going to draw a straight line here because this part of the bodice is going to be cut straight. What I'm going to do next is to lift up this part of the front pattern. Then I'm going to join the waist and then come here and join the underbust. So the back part is also going to have, a little bit of gathering, but it is not going to have this shape thing, this corset style thing that we have in front. I'm going to cut from here, following my zipper allowance. So you need to make sure that you put your zipper allowance there, so you don't mistakenly, cut out the wrong thing. Then I'll come right here, cut the neckline, follow the shoulder to the sleeve, cut everything out, come right here as well and cut everything out before we move to the skirt part. So for the skirt part, I'll use this top part here as waist. This is waist to hip. My waist to hip is 8 inches. And then I have my waist to knee, which is 24 inches. So what I'm going to do is to come right here. I'm going to mark my waist circumference divided by 4. 34 divided by 4 is 8.5. We're not adding that to this dress that we are making. Then I'll come to my hip. My hip is 43. 43 divided by 4 is 10.75. So I'll come right here and mark 10.75. Now for the knee part, I'm going to subtract 1.5 inches from 10.75. So I'm just going to come right here, mark 10.75, remove 1.5. Okay, so if we should measure this, I have 9.25. Now what I'm going to do next is to connect from my hip to the bottom of the skirt parts, and then join hip to waist. Now I want us to take note of the fact that we are going to be using this pattern to draft out the front and the back. So for the back, when I'm cutting out on fabric, I need to add a 1-inch zipper allowance. So I'm indicating it on this pattern instead of wasting paper to draft another pattern. So what I'm going to do right now is to shapen the hip area. So just like this, shaping this out, and then I'm going to go on to cut my pattern out. So right here is our skirt pattern. We have all our patterns drafted out. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, kindly give me a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, turn on the bell so you get updates when I post new videos. And I'm going to see you guys in the next tutorial where I show you the sewing process on this pattern that we have just created, and we are going to switch the skirt part up a bit, and you're going to see what we're going to do. Bye.